My life as illustrated in 8 poems. I know I promised to stop talking about him, but I was talking to myself. Truth is, he's a child who stopped growing, so I've always allowed him to tag along, and when he brings his melancholy close to me, I comfort him. Naturally, you're curious. You want to know how he became a gnarled branch, veiled in diminutive blooms. But I've told you all I know. I was sure he had secrets, but he had no secrets. I had to tell him mine. If you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't, because finally, after all this struggle and all these years, you don't want to anymore. You've simply had enough of drowning. The great clock of your life is slowing down, and the small clocks run wild. For this you were born. You have cried to the wind and heard the wind's reply. I did not choose the way chose me. You have tasted the fire on your tongue till it is swollen black with a prophetic joy. Burn with me, the only music is time, the only dance is love. If the heart were pure enough, but it is not pure, you would admit that nothing compels you any more, nothing at all abides, but nostalgia and desire, the two-way ladder between heaven and hell. On the threshold of the last mystery, at the brute absolute hour, you have looked into the eyes of your creature self, which are glazed with madness, and you say he is not broken but endures, limber and firm in the state of his shining, forever inheriting his salt kingdom from which he is banished forever. Sweet Jesus, talking his melancholy madness, stood up in the boat, and the sea lay down, silky and sorry. So everybody was saved that night. But you know how it is when something different crosses the threshold. The uncles mutter together. The women walk away. The young brother begins to sharpen his knife. Nobody knows what the soul is. It comes and goes like the wind over the water. Sometimes for days you don't think of it. Maybe after the sermon, after the multitude was fed, one or two of them felt the soul slip forth, like a tremor of pure sunlight before exhaustion that wanted to swallow everything, gripped their bones, and left them miserable and sleepy as they are now, forgetting how the wind tore at the sails before he rose and talked to it, tender and luminous and demanding as he always was, 1,000 times more frightening than the killer storm. I can tell by the way the trees beat, after so many dull days on my worried window panes, that a storm is coming, and I hear the far-off fields say things I can't bear without a friend, I can't love without a sister. The storm, the shifter of shapes, drives on across the woods and across time, and the world looks as if it has no age. The landscape, like the line in a psalm book, is seriousness and weight and eternity. What we choose to fight is so tiny. What fights with us is so great. If only we would let ourselves be dominated, as things do, by some immense storm, we would become strong too and not need names. When we win, it's with small things, and the triumph itself makes us small. What is extraordinary and eternal does not want to be bent by us. I mean the angel who appeared to the wrestlers of the Old Testament. When the wrestler's sinews grew long like metal strings, he felt them under his fingers like chords of deep music. Whoever was beaten by this angel, who often simply declined the fight, went away proud and strengthened and great from that harsh hand that kneaded him as if to change his shape. Winning does not tempt that man. This is how he grows, by being defeated decisively by constantly greater beings. It doesn't interest me if there's one God or many gods. I want to know if you belong or feel abandoned, if you know despair or can see it in others. I want to know if you're prepared to live in the world with its harsh need to change you, if you can look back with firm eyes saying, this is where I stand. I want to know if you know how to melt into that fierce heat of living, falling toward the center of your longing. I want to know if you're willing to live day by day with the consequence of love and the bitter, unwanted passion of your sure defeat. I have heard in that fierce embrace even the gods speak of God. But now that I'm in love with a place that doesn't care how I look or if I'm happy, happy is how I look, and that's all. My hair will grow gray in any case, my nails chip and flake, my waist thickens, and the years work all their usual changes. If my face is to be weather-beaten as well, that's little enough lost, a fair bargain for a year among the lakes and fells, where simply to look out of my window at the high pass makes me indifferent to mirrors and to what my soul may wear over its new complexion. I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song?